What's up, y'all? Your boy Rodimus here with another video. And first off, I want to apologize for the delay. There's been so much going on lately, from the playoffs and wrestling and other things like that. But on today's video, I am here to talk about the NFL draft. Yes, the NFL draft has come and gone. It was from April 23rd to the 25th. And I tell you what, there's some teams out there where I can sit back and say that I like the moves that they made. There were some needs that needed to be addressed. I did like what Arizona did. I did like what the Cowboys did on defense, so on and so forth. Of course, Fernando Mendoza going number one. That was obvious. That was talked about for ages. And honestly, I'm glad that the draft has finally come and gone. But we can just go ahead and get right into it. Now, I did write down a few names, so to speak. I didn't write down every name because I would have been here forever trying to write down every name that got drafted. But nonetheless, I wrote down some names and highlighted some names that stuck out to me. So like I said, let's just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to talk about night one, round one, if you will. Of course, like I said, Fernando Mendoza, number one draft pick, quarterback out of Indiana, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, it was noted that Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, is going to the White House soon to celebrate their national championship with President Trump. He has decided not to go because he wants to focus on his rookie season and, doing big things for the upcoming season, which I can totally understand. But as far as Mendoza is concerned, I mean, hey, he's going to be the franchise guy for this team. They really need a quarterback. Last season, they had Geno Smith. He's back with the Jets. Things, as far as the Raiders are concerned, did not pan out. I mean, they had one of the worst records. They had one of the worst teams in all of football last season. So hopefully, within the next 5 to 10 years, Fernando Mendoza can really elevate this team, being that Tom Brady is part owner and he's a big fan of Fernando Mendoza. So we'll see how things turn out for Fernando and the Raiders. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that, but within the next few years, we'll see how things pan out for Fernando Mendoza. And he was very positive about things, very respectful about things, and that's what I like. That's what I would want to see in somebody that I've drafted, somebody that I would consider as a future quarterback for my team. So let's move on. David Bailey, edge rusher for the New York Jets. He got picked by the New York Jets from Texas Tech. I really think that's a good move there. The Jets need everything at their disposal. I mean, honestly, we're talking about the New York Jets here. So what more do I need to say, right? The New York Jets, I thought, made a good move with this pick. So he's definitely going to bring some presence as far as the defense is concerned. Now, I did like this move right here. The Arizona Cardinals picked Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, with the third pick. I did like that. That was a really good move. Arizona, they were very up and down last season. You can't never tell about them. So I really thought that was a good move as far as picking up a running back. They need somebody in that backfield that can gain them some yards and that can get them down the field to where they need to be. So I really like that move. As I'm going down the list here, Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State, picked by the Washington Commanders. I did like that. They need some help on defense as well. The defense was very shaky this year from what I saw. The defense was very shaky, and that could really be a big boost, if I can talk, for the Commanders as far as defensive presence is concerned. So I really like that move there. Ty Simpson, let's talk about this. This was the steal to me of the first round. Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama, going to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Coach Sean McVay talked about it. The GM talked about it. There was a lot of stuff surrounding that pick, if you will. But nonetheless, I really like that. I really thought that was the steal down there. But, you still have Matt Stafford, the reigning MVP. I still think he's got another couple years left. This is what the Rams needed. I mean, yeah, you got Stetson Bennett. I think they got Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's still on the team. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, picking up Ty Simpson, I thought that was a real good steal. Nobody was really expecting that. It was a lot of talk on if he should go in the first round, this, that, and the third. So I really thought the Rams made the steal of the first round, if you will. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, from going to Philadelphia with the 20th pick. I thought that was a good move. Jalen Hurts and crew could use another receiver, being that A.J. Brown is potentially on his way out, or not potentially, he's on his way out. So that's another good move for Philadelphia. I really like that one there. As we move on to round 2, I wrote down some names for round 2. T.J. Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson, going to Buffalo. That's a good move for Josh Allen and crew. Christian Miller, defensive tackle, Georgia. He went to the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints, made a good move there. As far as the Saints are concerned, I feel like they should focus more on offense. They definitely need help on defense. So, I'm not really mad with New Orleans on that pick there. D'Angelo Pons, cornerback out of Indiana, going to the Jets. Again, the Jets need every move they can make at their disposal. They need everything at their disposal. So that's a good pickup there. As we move into the third round, Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami. He got picked by Arizona. Like I said, I really like what Arizona did. They made some moves that were kind of head turners, if you will. They turned some heads with their picks. They got Jeremiah Love in the first round, Carson Beck in the second round. I'm sure he's going to immediately start, but we'll see. I haven't looked at their quarterback room per se, but I really do like that move. Carson Beck, he's been in college for I don't know how long. He's been in college for a long time. He played at Georgia, played at Miami. So Arizona, they definitely got a good one with Carson Beck. Markel Bell, offensive tackle out of Miami, also going to Philadelphia. Somebody that can protect Jalen Hurts, if you will. So that's another good move by Philadelphia. Drew Aller, quarterback out of Penn State, going to Pittsburgh. Listen, here's my thing with this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the stuff with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of sick of it, because they're another team who needs a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is 42 going on 43 now. So what are we really doing here? That's my question. What are we really doing? Pittsburgh knows they need a quarterback. Pittsburgh is not what Pittsburgh used to be, say, 20, 30 years ago, right? Mike Tomlin, he's doing analyst work for NBC. He left. It's just a mess in Pittsburgh right now. A lot of people are looking at the GM, top brass ownership and all that. But here, because like I said, they need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there forever. Aaron Rodgers we all see it. He's literally at the tail end of his career. And I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Okay? But he is not the Aaron Rodgers like he was, say, in Green Bay. And he's definitely not the Aaron Rodgers from what he was in New York when he was with the Jets. That was just terrible. Those 2 years he was with the Jets were horrible. So Drew Aller going to Pittsburgh, I really like that move there. Jacoby Lane, wide receiver out of USC, going to the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, Baltimore is loaded offensively, okay? You got Tate, you got Flowers. Of course, you got Derrick Henry in the backfield. Lamar Jackson, one of the best, arguably the best quarterback in the game. So they got offensive pieces all around. So this is another cap offensively for the Baltimore Ravens, and I really like that move there. As we move on here, we look at the fourth round. Caleb Proctor, defensive tackle, Southeast Louisiana, going to Arizona. Now, here's how I feel about that one. That's a pretty good move. I can see him starting for the Arizona Cardinals this upcoming season. I really haven't watched much of him, but from what I've heard of him per se, he can really make some noise on the field defensively. He definitely has a defensive presence, if you will. So I can definitely see him being in the starting lineup for the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals just keep on keeping on with the hits, if you will. Then we move on to Jeremiah Wright, offensive guard out of Auburn, going to the New Orleans Saints. Another good move there. We go on to the 5th round, if you will. Justin Jefferson, not the one from Minnesota, but Justin Jefferson, linebacker out of Alabama, going to the Cleveland Browns. That's a good move. Cleveland is Cleveland. Let's just keep it real. Cleveland is Cleveland. But, they made a decent move here. As we move on here, we move on to the 6th round. That's just one name out of the short list of names in the 5th round that stuck out to me. So let's just move on to the 6th round here. C.J. Daniels, wide receiver out of Miami. He's going to the Rams. Just like Philadelphia or just like Baltimore, the Rams, to me, offensively, they're loaded. Of course, you got Stafford. You got Puka Nacua. Come on. One of the best receivers in the game right now. This is another wrinkle for the Los Angeles Rams here. So, a good pickup for the Rams, and we'll see how things turn out for him. Hopefully, he will have a really good career in the NFL. We move on to round 7. Jaden Williams, offensive tackle out of Ole Miss, going to Arizona. T.J. Hall, cornerback out of Iowa. Those players out of Iowa, I tell y'all what, shout out to the people in Iowa. I've never been to Iowa, but y'all have some really good players there. I don't care what team they go to, y'all have some good players, okay? So shout out to the people in Iowa. He went to the Saints, okay? And I didn't even realize this till a coworker brought this to my attention. Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of Louisiana, out of LSU, going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now that I do like. I do like that move. That's somebody he can learn. Patrick Mahomes is somebody who he can definitely learn from. So I really like that move. That was another steal in the draft to me. Ty Simpson going to the Rams and Nussmeier going to the Kansas City Chiefs. He has a good mentor. He's going to be around or under a really good mentor in Patrick Mahomes, being that Patrick Mahomes is working his way back. So I really like that move. I really like that. And the last pick, or as they call Mr. Irrelevant, goes to Red Murdoch, linebacker out of Buffalo, going to the Denver Broncos. So he is the last pick in the NFL draft. So kudos to him. There were some notable names that did not get drafted. And last I checked, one of those names was Diego Pavia, quarterback out of Vanderbilt. However, as of this recording, he's been signed with the Baltimore Ravens. So now he's under Lamar Jackson and crew. So we'll see how things shape up for Diego Pavia. He thought he was Mr. Big Shot and thought he was going to go drafted, but evidently not. Just because you have a name doesn't necessarily mean you're the hot commodity, if you will. So those are my analysis. Those are my point of views, if you will, on the draft. I know not a big point of view, but the point being is I thought overall this was a good draft. Not a quarterback heavy draft. A lot of people are saying that next year's draft is going to be very quarterback heavy. That's always the fun as far as the draft every single year. Like how many quarterbacks are going to come into the draft? How many quarterbacks are going to get drafted? So next year's draft is going to be very interesting quarterback-wise. But what did you think of the draft? Y'all let me know in the comments. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Give me your analysis. What team or teams stuck out to you the most as far as drafts, and which team or teams had the best draft or the worst draft? Y'all let me know. But with all that being said, this has been my point of view. I'm your boy Rodimus, and I will see you guys next time.